Hey everyone, my name is Sean, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you my Dark Magician combo deck. This deck runs a nice number of 19 starters, including one copy of Upstart Goblin. This gives us a greater than 96% chance of opening with a starter card, which means our deck is not going to brick very often. 3 copies of our starters are Apprentice Illusion Magician. We have 1 copy of Magician's Rod, 3 copies of Magician's Souls, 2 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, 3 copies of Dark Magical Circle, 2 copies of Instant Fusion, 3 Spellbook of Secrets, 1 Terraforming, and of course the Upstart Goblin as well. For the deck's extenders, we have 3 copies of Dark Magic Veil, 3 copies of Magician's Restage, 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 3 copies of Soul Servant, 2 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge, 3 copies of Eternal Soul, and 1 copy of Metaverse. In the extra deck, we also have 1 copy of Ebon Illusion Magician, 1 copy of Cross Sheep, 1 copy of Crowley, the First Prophecy, 1 copy of Link Karibo, and 1 copy of Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians. For deck removal, we already talked about Dark Magical Circle is a form of removal for the deck, but the rest of the removal is in your extra deck, and that is Thousand Eyes Restrict, Ebon Illusion Magician, Big Eye, Black Luster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn, and Celine. Celine is not a removal card. Goodbye, Celine. For defensive cards, we have 3 copies of Apprentice Illusion Magician, but also 1 copy of Mystic Mine and 1 copy of Secret Village. Then we also have in our extra deck El Shaddai Winder, Millennium Eyes Restrict, Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, and 1 copy of IP Masquerader. Finally, we have 3 copies of Dark Magician, because you need to play Dark Magician to make a Dark Magician deck work. So now we're going to look at the cards overall, explain what they do, and talk about how they work together. So we have 3 copies of Dark Magician. You have to play this because the whole deck is around Dark Magician, and I would try to reduce this, but 3 seems to work quite well for this deck. 3 copies of Apprentice Illusion Magician. When you can special summon this card by discarding 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. When she is normal or special summoned, you get to add a copy of Dark Magician from your deck to your hand, so she is a very good searcher. She is also not once per turn, so if you send her to the graveyard, say via Link Summoning, you can summon her again and get another search out for free. She also provides a bit of defense, like I said. If she is on your field or in your hand, and another Dark Spellcaster monster attacks your opponent's monster, you can send her to the graveyard to give that monster a 2000 attack boost. I don't use this very often, but it is there as an option in case I need to get over some really high attack beastie. We have 1 copy of Magician's Rod. Magician's Rod, when it is normal summoned, can search out any card or spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that has Dark Magician in its text. That means it can search out Dark Magical Circle, Soul Servant, or Eternal Soul. Very good way to kind of get another starter from your deck, or also search out more extenders to carry on your plays. We then have 3 copies of Magician's Souls. This card has 2 effects, well 3 effects really, 2 of them kind of the same. The first effect is, while this card is on your field, you can send up to 2 spell subtract cards from your hand and or the field to the graveyard and draw that many cards. Because we play so many repeat copies of the same kind of card, sometimes we won't need all of them. So this allows us to get rid of cards we don't need and draw it deeper into our deck, getting cards that we do need. Also, you can special summon this card by sending a level 6 or higher spellcaster card from your deck to the graveyard. Ideally you send Dark Magician. Then you can either choose to special summon itself or special summon Dark Magician, so you have a lot of options. If it's during your turn, you honestly don't really want to summon Dark Magician unless you have Dark Magical Circle already on the field. So what you want to do is summon out Dark Magician Souls and use that to go into your extra deck and make some link plays from there. But if you do have access to Dark Magical Circle, or you do want to have Dark Magician on board, then you can also find a way to summon Dark Magician using Magician Souls. We have 2 more normal summons in the form of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy for a total of 3 normal summons with Magician's Rod. Spellbook Magician of Prophecy is part of the Spellbook engine, and that is that when this card is normal summoned, it can add 1 Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand. Normally, you're going to search out Spellbook of Secrets, because when this card is activated, you can also search out a Spellbook card from your deck to your hand. You want to round this up by going for Spellbook of Knowledge. The Spellbook of Knowledge says you can send to the graveyard either one spellcaster monster you control, or one other Spellbook card from your hand or face up on the field, except Spellbook of Knowledge, and draw 2 more cards. It lets you get into your deck even deeper and draw more cards. Of course, if you have these cards out of order, you can always start with Secrets, search out Magician of Prophecy, and then get Spellbook of Knowledge. And yeah, it kind of forms a loop. This also goes really well with the card Crowley, the First Prophecy. When Crowley, the First Prophecy, is summoned, you can add to your you can reveal 3 Spellbook cards with different names, and you can your opponent randomly picks one of them for you to add to your deck. So it almost guarantees that as long as you get 2 spellcasters on the field, you're going to see this engine and you're going to be able to draw more cards. When you start playing the game with this deck, always start off with your Spellbook engine and use it to try and bait out any kind of disruption your opponent have. Because if they don't, eventually you're going to fill out your deck and you're going to get to draw 2 cards, and your opponent's not going to be able to stop you from doing so. Onto the extenders here, we have Dark Magic Veil. Dark Magic Veil basically is a monster reborn for the deck. You pay 1000 life points, especially summon 1 Dark Spellcaster type monster from your hand or the graveyard. Ideally you don't want to do it from the hand because you are not gaining any resources, you want to do it from the graveyard. But if you have to, and for some reason you have Dark Magician stuck in your hand, there's an option for you to get it out of there. This is also not a hard once per turn. And now I can bring you onto the theme of this deck, or the whole point of this deck. This deck is designed to be able to summon you at least 1 Dark Magician per turn. But when you're not summoning a Dark Magician to combo it with Dark Magical Circle, you are repeatedly summoning out your spellcaster monsters, either to build your defense or do forms of removal, and then link climb into higher and bigger monsters that are going to win the game for you. Dark Magical Circle is also in this deck and is an important part of this deck, and it's an important starter. When this card is activated, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can reveal 1 Dark Magician or 1 Spell or Trap card that specifically lists Dark Magician in its text among them and add it to your hand. So, you can either choose to add a Dark Magician when you use that card, or you can add Soul Servant or Eternal Soul. Also, this card has the added benefit of that anytime you summon a Dark Magician, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and banish it, giving you a free removal. However, this is a hard once per turn, and expect that when you're playing with this deck, your opponents are going to try and destroy this card because they don't want you banishing their cards. Instant Fusion we have 2 copies of because that works really nicely in our deck and gives us access to some very powerful fusion monsters. Instant Fusion says we pay 1000 life points and we are able to special summon 1 level 5 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck, but it cannot attack and also it is destroyed during the end phase. This card is treated as a fusion summon. Why this works so well is because we have access to these powerful cards. We can summon El Shadow Winder, which says that while this card is face up in the field, both players can only special summon 1 monster once per turn. Meaning that ideally what you do with this card is you summon this card at the end of your turn, before your opponent is going to do anything, before your opponent's going to start their turn, and you've done all the special summon you want to do, so that during their turn they have to deal with this floodgate effect, and that's going to restrict them from special summoning. Because Instant Fusion is a fusion summon, you can summon these cards back using Monster Reborn, Magician's Restage, and Dark Magic Veil. Millennium Eyes Restrict is a monster negate effect. When your opponent activates a monster effect while this card is face up in the field, it can target any monster in your opponent's graveyard or face up on their field and attach it to it as an equipped spell card. And while any card is equipped to this card, its effects are negated on the field. So this is a way you can play through disruption like things like Ash Blossom. So and also you can bring this card back quite easily using Restage, Magic Veil, and Instant Fusion. Finally, we have 1000 Eyes Restrict, which is a removal card that you can use for Instant Fusion, and can summon back with Veil, Restage, and Monster Reborn. And that is its ability to take one card that one monster your opponent controls and equip it to it. So you take 1 card your opponent controls, equip it to this one, and then link it away for something like Link Karibo, so you can send it to the graveyard and not have to deal with that threat. As I alluded to earlier, Magician Restage, Dark Magic Veil, and Monster Reborn are all similar cards. They all summon monsters from your graveyard, and they aren't really hard once per turns either. Why Magician's Restage is really special is it only summons spellcaster monsters that are level 3 or lower. I mean, you can only summon out Magician's Rod, Magician's Souls, Spellbook Magician Prophecy, 1000 Eyes Restrict, or Millennium Eyes Restrict. And you may be thinking, oh, that's a bit of a bummer, you can't really use it to summon your big monster Dark Magician. Well, the reason why this card works so well for this deck is because it is a continuous spell card. Once you've done your Monster Reborn-like effect, you can only use this Monster Reborn effect once while this card's on the field, meaning this card stays on the field basically doing nothing. However, that means this card is perfect fodder for Magician Souls, because you can send it to the graveyard for her draw effect, allowing you to draw more cards at your deck without any real downside, and you're not really losing anything for doing so. So Magician's Resage fits really nicely into this deck. It also allows you to summon monsters repeatedly, so again you can link summon and climb into bigger monsters with your small monsters. Monster Reborn's in the deck because it's Monster Reborn. For field spells, we have Secret Village of the Spellcasters and Mystic Mine, two incredibly powerful field spells. Ideally, you use Mystic Mine offensively when you're going second, and Secret Village when you're going first. Secret Village of the Spellcaster says is that while you control a Spellcaster monster, and your opponent does not, your opponent cannot activate any spell cards. If you control those spellcaster monsters, you cannot activate any spell cards. So do be careful how you use this effect. But with all the spellcasters in this deck, you really shouldn't hurt yourself. Now, while stopping your opponent from activating spell cards is good going first, when they've gone second, they've already used a bunch of spell cards, and this isn't going to hurt them as much. So if you're going second, we play Mystic Mine instead. So you activate this card, and while your opponent controls more monsters than you do, they cannot use monster effects and they cannot declare an attack. This allows you to kind of do your combos as long as you keep your monster count lower than your opponent's count and do things like combo with Dark Magical Circle to get rid of their resources. We also play one copy of Terraforming to search out one of these cards as well. We then have 3 copies of Soul Servant. Soul Servant is a very, very powerful searcher for the deck, but does require a bit of setup. This card can add 1 card from the top of your deck from your deck, hand or graveyard that is Dark Magician, or specifically list Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in its text except Soul Servant. This means this card can take from your hand, deck or graveyard and put on top of your deck Dark Magician, Apprentice Illusion Magician, Magician's Rod, Magician's Souls, Dark Magical Circle, Eternal Soul can all be searched and put on top of your deck, which allows you to get access to them quite quickly. This card has a second effect, and that is if this card is in your graveyard and you have at least Dark Magician in your graveyard, you can banish it and draw 1 card. So once you start to get Dark Magician into your graveyard, this then becomes a draw power card as well. So you get to search your deck for any card basically you want to extend your plays even further. Is this card a hard once per turn? It is a once per turn though. Spellbook of Knowledge we already spoke about, Secrets we spoke about, Upstart we spoke about. We have Eternal Soul. Eternal Soul is a repeatable Monster Reborn effect for Dark Magician only. Every Dark Magician in your monster zone is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. If this face-up card leaves the field, you must destroy all monsters you control. Do be careful of this downside and play very wisely when you're using this card. You can only use the following effect of Eternal Soul once per turn. That is going to be, you can special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard. This is what allows this deck to work so well, because every single turn, you're almost guaranteed you're going to be able to use this to summon Dark Magician, which means you can freely use Dark Magician as a material to link summon, to use it to link away for a link summon, because you know you're going to be able to bring it back a little bit later on. Even as an XZ summon for Evil Illusion Magician, you can use it, detach it as a material, because you're not going to be afraid that you're going to get that Dark Magician back. Finally, in the main deck we have 1 copy of Metaverse, which also searches out your field spells in a kind of a reactive sense. So if your opponent, if you are going first and you set Metaverse, and you haven't seen your field spell cards, during your opponent's turn you can quickly activate this and be like, haha, surprise, no monster effects, haha, surprise, no spell cards for you. Into the extra deck, we've already talked about our extra deck monsters here. Winder is the defensive play. We use this and special summon it to the field when we want to stop our opponent from special summoning too much. When Ice Restrict can restrict their monster effects, and Thousand Ice Restrict can get rid of a monster on the field. Evil Illusion Magician is an extender for the deck. You have to use the 2 Dark Magicians to summon it out to the field, but you can detach 1 material from it and special summon a spellcaster monster from your hand or deck. The added bonus with Evil Illusion Magician is that when your Dark Magician attacks, you can then choose to banish a card on the field, so that forms another form of removal if you can get this bad boy into the field. Big Eye works like Change of Heart. requires 2 level 7 monsters, and you can detach 1 material and then target 1 monster your opponent controls and take that monster. However, this card cannot attack the turn that you use this effect. Another nice form of removal and a way of stealing their cards. For our Link monsters, we have Appaloosa Both the Goddess, very easy to make and negates monster effects. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This card is an almost invincible monster, in that if this card is linked someone with a level 7 or higher monster's material, your opponent cannot target with card effects and it cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then also, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can either choose to give it 1500 attack, give it a second attack during the next battle phase, or banish 1 card on the field. Very versatile, very powerful card, almost game ending in most cases. Speaking of game ending cards, we have a finisher in terms of Borrowsword Dragon, in that this card can attack twice per turn if you turn 1 monster on the field into defense position. You can also take the attack of one monster your opponent has and add its attack to half the monster's attack, and then you gain half the attack to it. This guarantees that this monster will almost do 3000 attack damage to any monster it attacks. Cross Sheep is an extender for the deck. Because we play so many fusion monsters, this gives us a free monster on board. What you do with this card is you make Cross Sheep to the field using 2 monsters with different names, and then you special summon either using Instant Fusion, or monster Dark Magic Veil, Monster Reborn, or Mission Restage, and summon a fusion monster to a zone that Cross Sheep points to. When you summon a fusion monster to a zone Cross Sheep points to, you get to summon a level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard for free. This gives you a very easy way to go into cards like Borrowsword Dragon or Appaloosa Both the Goddess without having to worry about generating so many resources. Crowley, the first purpose, is a very powerful card because it supports your Spellbook engine, and it's almost the first Link summon I always go into. IP Masquerader is a Link 2 that allows you to do Link summons during your opponent's turn. So it allows you to use cards like Nightmare Phoenix, which can destroy spells and trap cards, or Nightmare Unicorn, which can shuffle cards on the field during your opponent's turn to kind of give them a surprise factor and disrupt their plays. We have Link Karibo, which is a very necessary evil. Link Karibo can send level 1 monsters to the graveyard that you don't want on the field anymore. So if you have, say, Thousand Eyes Restrict or Millennium Eyes Restrict, and you've used their effects, you can link them away with Link Karibo, so that then you can send them to the graveyard. Also, this helps you to link climb as well. If you have a level 1 monster on the field, and you really want to get to a level 2, you can link it away for Link Karibo, summon it back with one of your 7 Monster Reborn style cards, and then you've got 2 monsters on the field instead of 1, which then lets you go into something like Crowley, Cross Sheep, or IP Masquerader. The final card we have is Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians, the mummy of the deck. She, when she is summoned, gets spell counters equal to the number of spell cards in your field or in your graveyard. As long as you have 3 or more spell counters on this card, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card during the main phase, and you can special summon 1 spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position to a zone this card points to. This is a really good way to set up a Dark Magical Circle play, because you can have Celine in your field, Dark Magician in your graveyard, and then during your opponent's main phase, you can summon it back to the field and banish the card with Dark Magical Circle. But she can also be used with other effects as well. She can be used to summon Dark Magician Souls again, to use her effect. You can summon Apprentice Illusion Magician to get more Dark Magicians, and then say summon that Dark Magician with Eternal Souls. Or you can use it with things like Thousand Eyes Restrict to take an opponent's monster, Millennium Eyes Restrict to negate your opponent's effects, or stop the opponent from over-summoning with an Ocean or Winder. So guys, that has been my Dark Magician combo deck profile. Hopefully this has made sense to you and hasn't been too complicated. It is a very powerful deck, and I do urge you to give this a try. I am currently undefeated with this deck, and I would love to do some gameplay with this deck. So I want to end this video with a question. How would you guys feel about watching me stream videos of me doing deck testing with the decks that I build and do deck profiles of? Sometimes when I'd like to test, I like to play 10 games at least in a row to see what works and what doesn't work, and then make a couple of changes. And obviously that is too many videos, too many duels to do into a single video. So how would you guys feel about watching me stream? If you are interested and you would turn up to a stream, let me know what time you would turn up to a stream, and maybe I could try to work that around my schedule, and that way we can all go through the process of building decks, or building really powerful decks together. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe this video, share it with your friends, and if you want to challenge me, I'd be at StandbyMain on PSN, and thank you as always for your support for the channel. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you soon. Take care.